Hello guys, this is going to be a longer video, so I can only really do it in one take because iMovie, even though it used to be really good, now every app that used to be really good for free, if you don't pay for it, it's kind of just utterly useless. So we're going to do one take. I'm trying to have inspiration and creativity still. It's getting really fucking hard, man. I'm just so fucking bored. It's almost like my brain like slowly slows down to a point to where I can't really think of things. So I'm trying to use my boredom for inspiration, because a lot of what my new book is going to be about is going to be a lot of my opinions. It's going to be put in a fictional setting, so that's somewhat exciting. It's a slightly different medium. And so I'm basically just going to say a couple of things. Some of it's, all of it's going to be my opinion, but it's basically going to be me trying to word it in such a way where I think it might be able to make it into the book or not. But in Chinese water torture, I don't know if it's real or not, but the idea of it goes something like this, where you're restrained in a chair and forced to look up, and every few seconds a drop of water hits you in your forehead, and this lasts for an extensive period of time. The torture is kind of meant to drive people crazy by exposing you to this complete lack of freedom and this minor stimulus for so long that it kind of just breaks the human brain. This is what life feels like sometimes. It's you wake up and you have a shift to look at, so you're kind of just trying to fit whatever you can, but ultimately it's not quite enough time to really do anything that you want to do. It's not enough time to really do anything you want to do, or to be able to relax and feel like you're mentally preparing yourself. And so you're kind of just staring at the clock constantly, waiting to see how much time you have left. And I look at that, and it's kind of like, that's my water dripping. It's drip. Like you do a series of minor tasks with little freedom. Like you're sitting on the couch, or you're trying to like be in your apartment, or you're trying to like walk your dog in areas that you can walk your dog. It's like preset things that you can do, to where you technically can do other things, but like your brain restricts you, and like the time restricts you. Like you can't walk too far, or else you come home late, and then you'll be late for work. You can't do too many things, or else you'll be late for work. You can't really spend too much time relaxing and not looking at the time, because then you'll realize too much time has passed, and then you'll be late for work. So then you sit in your car and you drive to work. Nothing is more restricting to me than driving a fucking car. I mean, you literally just do a simple series of tasks in a very limited range, constantly trying to fucking get to your destination so you can get out of your car. And this is like a slightly different pace of water dropping. But, you're kind of just sitting in this car, and for me, it's like, it's like a drip. And all of these things start happening that you wish would happen. Like you start driving and you kind of get to a point where you're like, I kind of wish I could just flip my fucking car over. Or something exciting would happen. Like, goddamn, somebody would make some plans with me, take some fucking chances, take some risks with my life. I don't fucking know. And then you go to your job, and at my job I sit down a lot, and I basically just count down the minutes until I have to go home, because what I'm doing, well, it's not the easiest thing. It's easy enough to where like you can do it, but it lasts so long that you start contemplating. That to me is like the biggest torture, is you're just basically restricted at this place that you don't even want to be at. And there's some places where you're so restricted, you're just like, this could actually be torture in some cases. At my job, there's no human interaction really. Well, little human interaction I do have is something to be desired. It's either I'm doing a lot of things over the course of an hour, or I'm doing basically nothing for like 7 hours. I say nothing. I'm basically looking for something to do. It's basically what my job is. And sometimes you kind of get to a point, because every job that I have, I end up being unhappy with. You either are allowed to be walked over by people who do not want to treat you fairly, or you're doing a series of tasks that you would almost rather be dead than fucking doing, and you just feel drained. You don't feel accomplished. You never feel accomplished. You never feel like you're doing anything. The story of the myth of Sisyphus for a while was giving me a new life, because the mentality that you had to push your own boulder up a mountain, to imagine that to be happy and that you have the downtime in between pushing your boulder up the mountain, walking back down to inevitably push it back up again. You're supposed to imagine that to be the happiest moments in Sisyphus' life. A task so arduous that any reprieve whatsoever is ecstasy. But we don't really have that. We have small rocks that we move, or things that you can do pretty easily without really physically exerting yourself. And it's almost like the same thing as relaxing, but you're not relaxing. You're trying to justify your existence at your job, and you're trying to be present constantly, but you're also not really doing anything. So you're kind of just cooped up in a spot. And then when you have reprieve, you want to get up and do things, but you feel so mentally exhausted that everything's just kind of like a fog. I had this experience last night. I came home and my dog was excited. He wanted to play, and it was like there's a pane of glass in between me and him. It was almost as if my brain would not let me recognize my dog as a real dog or as a part of my family. It was just, this is the thing I'm looking at right now. My fiance came home, and she was excited. I kind of woke up because I fell asleep on the couch, and it was almost like she wasn't real. It was almost like I was so used to staring at a computer screen that I almost forgot that there's a real life outside of this, and your downtime ends up becoming your torture. It's not a time away from your job. It's like you go into the world where pieces are taken from you, only to come home lesser than you were when you first started, not grown, and not even the same. Just parts of you are taken away. I feel like parts of my creativity are being taken away. Every day, it's almost like there's a piece of my brain that's missing. It's slowly turning into mush, and I feel like any chance I have of getting Alzheimer's and dementia, it's only being sped up. And it's like a miserable existence. My last job was a miserable existence, but at least I had people to bitch about it with. Here, I can't even do that. I have nobody. My last job, it was constantly being gaslit. Now it's just constantly trying to. And it's hard. Not because it's physically hard, but because it's so unaccomplishing and such a waste of your time that your paycheck barely justifies it. decided that, you know, like I can either accept my fate, accept that, you know, I'm just not gonna like any job that I have, or I can just keep trying to look, and, you know, like, I'm trying to look, but it's kind of fucking hard. Any job that I applied for that I think I might actually like either has told me no or hasn't gotten back to me. It's kind of miserable.